all of you for the opportunity to be here and for the great number of folks who have attended this. I'm very pleased to come here to inform you about a group of businesses that have joined together to form the West Virginia Works Coalition. The West Virginia Works Coalition is a group of organizations interested in moving West Virginia forward, and they're interested in focusing on removing hurdles to West Virginia businesses and also providing a better business environment. One of the issues that this coalition is centrally focused on is workplace freedom or the right to work. A total of 25 states currently provide working families with workplace freedom. What would a workplace freedom law look like? Under this type of law, an employer could not require that an employee become a member of a labor organization, pay dues, fees, assessments, or other charges to a labor organization, or pay any fees or donations to a third party as a condition of employment. You might ask, why does West Virginia need this? West Virginia workers deserve choices and control over their lives. As a matter of principle, every West Virginia worker should be able to choose if they want to join and pay wages to a labor organization. Every West Virginia worker should have the right to get and keep a job based on performance, not politics or union affiliation. Every state that has enacted a right to work law still has unions present in those states, and in fact, some of them have grown. I think the important thing to understand about a law like this, it is not a pro-union or anti-union law. It is rather a pro-West Virginia law and a pro-West Virginia worker law. And it would allow workers to, one, make the choice as to whether or not they felt like the unions were providing them with the services they thought they deserved. And if they didn't, they could choose to hold a union accountable by not paying the dues. Protecting West Virginia workers and their choices make West Virginia more attractive to industries and jobs. How does it create more jobs? It opens the door to attracting and retaining new and expanding companies and the thousands of jobs they bring. Site selection experts from across the country in an anonymous survey said that half the companies won't even look at a location that does not provide freedom to work laws. So in this instance, by not being a right to work state, West Virginia would automatically lose out on those organizations even considering locating here. If you support this notion, I would urge you to consider contacting me or others to join this coalition, and also identifying your position with your legislator and encouraging them to support this issue and encouraging your customers and employers to do the same. I'm very pleased to have Delegate Overington here, who is the chair of the Industry and Labor Commission, is also committee, and has been a champion of this issue in the legislature for several years. And we'll talk with you a little bit more about this issue and other issues like this.
Thank you. My name is John Overington. I'm your, it's hard to believe, 31st year of serving in the House of Delegates. What are the issues that help motivate you? And before I start, I'd like to express my appreciation to all of you that are taking your time on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon to be here. We're here for one reason. We want to create jobs and opportunities for West Virginia. You know, one of my mottos is that the best welfare program, the best health care program comes from a good paying job, and I think that is why we are here today. So I've introduced right to work. I've got the scars on my back to prove it for the last 30 years. It's something that I think is critical. Can you imagine front page Wall Street Journal article saying West Virginia adopts right to work? That would, the message that would send out across the nation that West Virginia is open for business would be astounding. You know, I was reading how Michigan, the home of the United Auto Workers, a couple of years passed right to work. I'd love to see the state that was the home of the United Mine Workers of America passing right to work. That would be a message that would have people knocking down our doors to bring jobs to West Virginia. During this last legislative session, I want to talk in general about labor issues. It's always hard to appear after Craig Blair because he always steals my prevailing wage issue. That issue, I want to correct one of the questionnaires. Half of your construction cost is in labor, half is in building materials, the bricks, the stone, the steel that make up buildings. We've had 2 studies done in West Virginia, not by union groups or by business groups, but by academic groups, the College of Graduate Study and West Virginia University. Both of them, both independent groups, unbiased, indicated in their summaries that we would save 1/3 of our construction costs with prevailing wage rate if we eliminated it. Can you imagine, we spend probably, our prevailing wage rate all costs us probably $200 million a year. And we talk about roads. Can you imagine if we spent another $100 million a year on roads just by getting a fair market wage rate? You know, it would. That I think was a great success that we had. When we started the legislative session, we looked at 3 different issues: project labor agreements, and that was where you would not be required to have a union-only construction project for a public job. When we're using our taxpayer dollars, we need to get the best value for our taxpayer dollars, and that law passed so that we will get the best. We will get as many contractors, union and non-unions, to bid on projects. We also had wanted to change the Division of Labor, the Commissioner of Labor's title. The Commissioner of Labor was sort of interpreted as it had to be somebody from a union background. And therefore they were not supportive of a lot of the reforms that were needed. That was a bill that we passed this year. And instead of the project labor and prevailing wage rate. For next year, we hope, or for 2016, we hope to have right to work on the agenda. Patrick Morrissey talked about West Virginia being a 2-party state. And we would never have discussed these issues, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. Now they're at the table, we're discussing them. We're getting the best ideas from both parties. And these reforms are part of that best discussion that were not on the table before. As I said, right to work is something that is critical. I'd like to share this with you. This, to me, expresses another reason why we should have a right to work. To compel a man to subsidize with his taxes the propagation of ideas to which he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical, from Thomas Jefferson. To force somebody to join a union when those union dues goes to support views that are exactly the opposite of the person's political views, as Thomas Jefferson said, are sinful and tyrannical. That is another reason why we need right to work in West Virginia. One of the exciting things about the last campaign was, there's a lot of intimidation from the unions. There's the perception that if you support right to work, your history. In states that have adopted right to work, Michigan and Indiana, they increased their numbers in the legislature. The governor in the election after that won by a greater margin. What was especially exciting was to have somebody from Berkeley County that had that right to work as part of her platform. She also happened to be somebody that is very interested in jobs and the economic well-being of the state, not just for the next 5 or 10 years, but for the rest of her life. It's great to have Sarah Blair as a strong advocate and the youngest legislator in the United States of America here, and I'd like to call upon her to make a few comments as well.
Thank you, John and Danielle, and thank you everyone for being here. This is such an amazing event to have so many people here in one place with so many great ideas. And it's exciting, and I'm really excited for January, and I'm really excited for this issue to come up in particular. For too long, right to work's been a very taboo issue in the state. A lot of supporters of this are afraid to talk about it because of the heritage that once existed. Not really here in the Eastern Panhandle as much, but in southern West Virginia with the coal mines, in the northern Panhandle with a lot of their industry. But times changed. I do think at one point union shops were necessary in the state and they did have their impact, but it's 2015 now, and like I said, times have changed. And Danielle, you're right. I think an important thing to remember is that this is not an anti-union bill. It doesn't eliminate unions. It just gives our hardworking people of West Virginia the right to make their own choices, because I firmly believe that every single one of them is competent to make the decision for their own, what works best for them and their families. So with that said, I'm really excited to see it come through. I've been a strong advocate of it. One of the biggest, I guess, opposing arguments I hear to it is worker safety. That's really the biggest argument I've heard. And I've done a lot of research on that to see if it really truly would have an impact on our worker safety here in the state of West Virginia. And I don't believe that that would necessarily be the case. Like I said, I think at one point it would have, but in today's day and age, we have OSHA that's providing a lot of the things that the labor unions once provided to the workers. So I'm really excited to see it go through. John's been working on this for so long that he truly has a great piece of legislation that we're going to see in 2016. So thank you very much.